Welcome to Out of the Blue, the podcast, where we celebrate the moments in life that come out of nowhere, the moments that change everything. I'm your host, Vernon West, and today truly feels like a full circle moment. This is the premiere episode of season 2, and it's especially meaningful because our guest today holds a unique and honored place in the story of this podcast. Wendy Liebman was the very first guest of our incredible season 1, the guest who helped set the tone, the heart, and the spirit of Out of the Blue from the very beginning. And today, she is honoring us by returning as the guest who opens season 2. Before we begin, I also want to acknowledge my son, Vernon III, who is the creative force behind the Out of the Blue logo design and our theme song. His vision and talent are woven into the DNA of this podcast, and I'm deeply grateful for his contribution. Wendy grew up on Long Island, New York, where her mother knew early on that she was funny. After all, her lemonade stand had a 2-drink minimum. She studied psychology at Wellesley College, originally planning to become a therapist until one class, How to Be a Stand-Up Comedian, changed the course of her life forever. Since then, Wendy has appeared on The Tonight Show with Carson, Letterman, Leno, Fallon, Kimmel, Ferguson, Hollywood Squares, and more. She's performed in comedy clubs, colleges, theaters, and events across North America and England. And in 1997 was named Best Female Stand-Up Comedian by the American Comedy Awards. She starred in specials for HBO, Showtime, and Comedy Central, was a semi-finalist on America's Got Talent, and was Howard Stern's wildcard pick. She's opened for an extraordinary range of artists, from Bill Maher and David Spade to Ray Charles, Julio Iglesias, Ian Margaret, and Frankie Valli, a testament to her brilliance, range, and timeless appeal. Wendy's Our Special Wendy Liebman Taller on TV is available on Amazon. But today, we're going beyond the laughs into the moments, choices, and out-of-the-blue turns that shaped her journey. Wendy, thank you so much for helping us launch Out of the Blue Season 1 and for honoring us by opening Season 2. Welcome back.
Wow,
Welcome back.
I sound accomplished.
You sound taller in real
Quite a
life.
bit.
You sound tall.
I'm 5 feet and shrinking, but I'm still the tallest woman in my family. So,
Wow.
thank you so much for that beautiful introduction.
You are taller on TV. I would never have imagined. You see, you know what I mean? You are actually taller. Your persona makes you seem taller.
I met this writer the other day, this woman, and she had only seen my face on Facebook and me on TV. And she said, I thought you were 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
I think true. Because I'm standing on a stage.
That's true. That makes it seem tall anyway.
Right?
I used to think of that when I played stages. You know, you got another 4 feet at least, even the smallest joints, you know.
Right.
Yeah, it's incredible how that works. So you are towering over. So tell us, I know since our last time we spoke, which was when you had healed at the speed of love. I never forgot that phrase. And I've been telling Vernon to maybe somehow we're going to have to credit you. I'm thinking maybe a picture of your face with the words "healed at the speed of love" on a T-shirt might be really nice.
Oh.
Out of the blue. It might be a cool idea for Out of the Blue.
Maybe not my face, but maybe that quote and like a little tiny credit.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, I'm thinking. I was thinking more of like a bas relief kind of thing. You know, not an actual picture. Like
I see.
Like a silhouette or something.
A silhouette kind of thing.
No, I mean I agree with you. We'll do something. We'll do something cool, and we'll shoot it by you.
But I do love that idea, and I loved when I thought that, and that was, I told you this a year ago. That was when I was recovering from having been hit by a car, and I truly felt the power of prayer or thoughts. Like I really got the wave of all my friends thinking about me, and I was overwhelmed. And I felt like I was healing at the speed of love.
It was an impressive moment in my journey too, because it was the first episode of Out of the Blue, and I was as they say, contrary action. Like I was scared, but I knew I had to get through it. I had to do this because I started it. It's funny when you're an artist, like it happens to me with songs too. You write a song, you're all into it, you go, oh, I love it. But then you finish, you go, shit, I don't know if I want to play this with people because it's so personal. It's like I'm going to bear myself, and if they don't like it, I'm gonna crawl up and burn away and go into hide in the corner somewhere. But you realize that you have to do it. You've committed the beginning. I'm at that point. I think that's one of my positive traits. If I say I'm gonna do something, I generally do it. And I mean that I think is important. One of our guests later on in the season, that was one of his uh, biggest things he said was the three rules that he got from his higher power. One of them was always finish what you start. So I said, oh,
Wow.
that's a good one. It really is. And I think that I did when I did this podcast with you, it was amazing when you said that because I felt like I got my own healing at the speed of light just by hearing that. So what
Right.
if
Well, it's following through.
yeah, it was a follow through kind of thing. And what more I can, right after we did the podcast, I'll never forget this, and I've told this to numerous people that the next day you would emailing me all these other out of the blue things that came to your mind, you know, and I thought that was so wonderful. And not every guest does that after they've been on the show. A few have done that. A few have said, "Oh, now I'm realizing there's a lot more out of the blue in my life," but you were the first one. You kind of did set the tone, and you put a pretty high bar for the
Oh,
guests that have
I'm
come on the
so
show.
happy. Well, you're so easy to talk to, Vernon, and I've only known you for a couple of hours,
Right, all
other
together.
than
Right.
I've only talked to you for a couple of hours, but you you seem to bring out really good parts of me. So I
Oh,
have a
awesome.
feeling you bring out good parts of people in general. I've been trying to think prior to this recording that how can I top that? Like healing at the speed of love. And what I was thinking today, and maybe I said this last time, but out of the blue has another meaning, and that is out of sadness and
Yeah.
like you're coming out of being blue.
Oh, definitely. Love that.
And I don't know if I said that last time, but I
No, you
tend to
didn't.
I didn't. Okay.
This is seasons two.
Yeah,
Little
out of
little
the blueness.
little snippet, and it could become a T-shirt. Out of the blues,
Hey, I'm all for merch.
out of the blues with Wendy Liebman. Yeah, that would be cool. Um, yeah, great. So, what tell me some more coincidences, parallels, things that we call, out of the blue kind of moments. You must have, I know you typed a few last time, so you got to have had a few since.
Right. Those were my coincidences. I'm trying to think if I haven't had like a major one in a while, but I had lunch with a friend this week and I hadn't seen him in a couple of years. And we realized that it's so easy to pick up with a friend because we speak the same language. Like, why am I still friends with him and not still friends with her?
Hmm.
Like, what makes it about that other person
Hmm.
that you reconnect over time? I meet so many people. So why is this friend somebody that I
Right.
am drawn back to over and over again, even if it's a couple of years um, that I haven't seen him before?
Wow.
And I think it's because we make each other laugh so hard. Like we get each other. I've always said that if somebody laughs at your joke, you've spoken their language. They understand you. Now, if they don't laugh, that doesn't mean they don't understand you. That means they don't think you're funny, or or they just aren't a laugher. But if they laugh, you can assume that that person speaks your language. And uh, so he and I, well, my sister and I have done this for years. Every time we get together, which is not often, but when we do get together afterwards, we write our takeaways. And they might be as broad as it feels good to go shopping in your closet, things that we have talked about at lunch or whatever. It, and so my friend who I had lunch with and we did some too.
I mean, that's a really lovely concept, though, like leaving a hang and then reflecting on it with like
Right. And he
intention.
wrote back because I wrote them first. And I said, my sister and I do this, and these are my takeaways from this lunch. Things like you might, just something that we talked about, you might fly more than 40 times in a year, and then the next year only get on 10 flights, little things like that. Um, I said it took a professional, he's a professional makeup artist, said it takes a professional to tell you not to dye your hair blonde, like, because he told me not to dye my hair blonde. So like little things. And what he wrote back, he said, I'm crying because you remembered our whole conversation and synthesized it. And then he wrote some of his, and it was just beautiful. And it's like a little memento
Yeah.
that you have from your gathering.
I find this very inspirational. I've written a song called Love Was Is Came and Went Again.
Oh,
And in that song, there's a nothing like a long lost friend, and then they come from and then it says something about you reminisce and you make amends, and then you talk about all the shit they gave each other, and then but there's nothing like a long lost friend, an old friend getting together, and then there was the next verse was about nothing like a brand new friend, because you find all the parallels, and there's all these things that are in sync in their lives. You didn't even know each other, but things were in sync. Like I'm hearing this stuff about this what you're talking about, Tim. That's so wonderful. That's parallels. I think those are indicative of something to do with the Art of the Blue too. There's something in
right.
the ether, I think. I don't know what it is.
And what inspired me to reach out to him again, I mean, we see each other on Facebook and Instagram and like each other's posts all these years. But what made me reach out and say, we really have to get together again, was probably inspired because, okay, so let me back up. I had a friend who, I don't know how I met him. He said that he came to see a show once. This is 30 years ago. And we've been, I would say, good, not great friends, but acquainted for 30 years. He's a huge, like, he loves entertainment and music and comedy. He worked at Disney. He I had lunch with him and two friends of his who are songwriters. And my friend got up to go to the restroom. And I said to these two songwriters, how do you know Gil? And they were like, we have no idea. Like, he just sort of wends his way into people's lives. And he was really good friends with Diane Warren, the songwriter. Like, we were his two girls. And he would send me text messages 4 times a week saying things like, did you see Lady Gaga on SNL? Or send me happy Thanksgiving, and always a meme or something funny. And then one day he just died
Oh,
out of the blue, died. Like, he was in his 40s
oh,
or
wow.
early 50s at the latest.
Right.
And I was sucker punched. Like, Gil, like, I was stunned when I heard. And in a weird way, and I felt this before, you guys, that death brings people together in a different way. Like, I don't know if
Completely
it's
agree with that.
right.
Mhm.
And so Gil's absence, I think, inspired me to reach out to my friend, my makeup friend. And
Then you had lunch.
then we had lunch and we had a great time. And I was going to say groovy. I don't know why.
And
We had a groovy time.
you're still on that frequency. You can tune
Yes.
right into each other. And he gets you. You know, you get him. You laugh at the same things. It's a wavelength of some kind.
Right.
Gil
And
is
this is,
still, sorry, Gil
go
is still
ahead.
making connections even though physically not present.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
I've now connected with 4 of his friends and
Wow.
we'll go to the
That's
memorial this
really
week.
great. They gave me a chill, really.
Yeah. And I've met people through him because he's brought a lot of people to my shows over the years.
It's funny you say that. I know a guy recently, a guy named Bob, who his first initial of his last name is B. And I told him I was going to have you on that podcast, excuse me. And he said, "Oh, Wendy, he went to a show with his brother 30 years ago, and he fell in love with you. And
Oh.
he was hitting on you after the show. I'm so embarrassed," he said.
Ah,
I said, "Well, you know," I had to pull him away.
get his number. No, I'm kidding. I'm no, but I'm just interested to know who it was.
Bob Barker, I think.
But I'll find out.
Well, I was going to say Bobby Keene, he's a comedian from
No,
Boston.
I don't think that's his last name. But
Wait, are you from Boston?
I'm from Long Island, but I started my career in Boston.
oh, right.
That's
okay.
where that's how I know your friend Billy.
That's how I know
Okay.
Billy.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was a good crowd of group comedians in Boston during that era.
Oh yeah.
A lot of wonderful guys. Dave Fitzgerald was one of my
Oh
buddies.
yeah.
So many comedians that I love and look up to are from Boston. And a lot of, not great ones that have incredible influence.
Yep.
Joe Rogan.
Well, Lenny Clark went out and did a sitcom.
Lenny
He got something,
Clark.
And then there
Tony
was,
V is one of my favorites still. He's still in
oh yeah,
Boston.
and Steve Sweeney,
Steve Sweeney, Don Gavin, Jimmy Tingle.
Jimmy Tingle. Yeah.
My favorite comedian is Brian Kiley. He started in Boston and then he wrote for Conan O'Brien for years, but he's continued to do stand up this whole time. But you said Joe Rogan, he once opened for me in Rhode Island. And that thought just blows my mind. Well,
Sure.
other people who have opened for me, Ray Romano once opened for me, Jim Gaffigan once opened for me. And I'm like, what happened to me? And then I go, you know what? I'm not bitter at all. I'm not envious. I feel like I'm exactly I'm exactly where I am.
Yeah,
Right.
that's right.
So,
That's right. I think they say the ultimate in being at peace with what life is to have what you love, what you have, and have what you love. Or have what you want, something like that.
like, love what you have.
Yeah, love what you have, and you'll be happy. It's really a question of I think first of all, there's no such thing as happiness unless you have gratitude. That is absolutely the prerequisite.
Okay, so I have 2 stepsons, and I don't have it with me, but my one of my stepsons lives in Brooklyn and he works on AI and he works at Google and he is doing another project with animatronics and AI on the side. And he came home for the holidays. And then I have another stepson, Alex, who lives in LA and lives near us. And he's a beautiful musician. And anyway, so they were both with me for the holidays and my husband. But I was invited to I guess, a lecture, a symposium by these guys called the Minimalists. And if you're unfamiliar with them, it's started as 2 guys maybe 10 years ago. They worked for corporate America in Dayton, Ohio, and they both had had enough. They were told if you have the car and the house and the girl and they were given the whole prescription for a beautiful, happy life. And they just felt so unhappy, even though they were striving for that. And I think one of them was asked to sell an iPhone to a 10-year-old. And he was like, fuck this. Like, I can't
Ooh.
do this anymore. Am I allowed to swear?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right. And so they started this movement called the minimalist
I think I've heard of it. Go ahead, tell me more.
movement. And basically, it's not living ascetically. It's not living like with nothing,
Right, right.
but it's living with intention with what you have and not needing more. Now, if I tell you I love the minimalist and then you actually saw my office without my background, you would laugh in my face because I have so much colorful clutter around me, but I find it makes me creative. So
Yeah,
it's not about not having things. It's about being intentional with your things. And they wrote a book. So I brought my stepsons to this symposium, and I think they both really enjoyed it. The first half is like a sound bath where this woman comes and she plays all sorts of like weird instruments and sings and chants, and it's just very ethereal, and it's almost like going to church or to some kind of spiritual event. And then the second half is those two guys, and then now a third guy, and just talking about basically what their book says. Their book, they have a couple of books, but the one that they gave out this time is called Love People, Use Things.
Which is exactly what the Dalai Lama said.
Right. And some musician said it wrote a song about it, but they stole it for their book.
Yeah, well, of course, and I think they repurposed it, and that's fine.
Right. Love
It's
people, use things.
yeah, that's the issue. The Dalai Lama was saying the trouble with the world is people love things and use people. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's
Right.
the trouble with the world. That's pretty true.
Right. And I've been we've experienced so much uh death lately. It's not just Gil, it's other friends of ours who are sick and in our 60s and 70s.
Mm.
And that feels young to us to be, yeah. So our mortality is like staring us in the face
Yep.
right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there were a lot of Boston comedians who have passed away over the years. And Steve Lazarus, Jennifer Hogue, Kevin Knox.
Oh, Kevin died? I did not even
Right?
know that. Oh, my
Oh, from cancer years ago.
I did love Kevin. I loved him. He was
Um,
hysterical too.
yeah, so many. So it just makes me think, okay, then what do I need to do right now? What do I need to do before that happens to me?
Right.
Mm.
And I'm listening to a book by Stephen King, the novelist, and it's about writing. And he was talking, I think we were talking about this before we started recording, about you writing a song and just kind of feeling like it came to you based on your third cousin's teachings.
Right, right.
And I don't know if you
Henry
want me to say
Mancini. No,
Henry
of course.
Mancini. Okay.
Yeah.
And just incorporating what's in your DNA from that
Yeah.
musical genius, and then just having an experience that you just needed to record. And what Stephen King is saying, that a story is like a fossil that the artist or the writer needs to uncover And it's like discovering
Yeah.
the story. It's already there.
That's exactly true. Yeah. It reminds me of what didn't Michelangelo, one of those guys, those great sculptors that made statues, he said he looked at the marble and just removed the shit away to expose.
Ooh, I got
He,
chills.
he didn't really create it. He was just removing the shit that was in there.
Can somebody remove the belly fat that
Right,
I
right. Where are they when you need them? The real Vernon, there's too much of the non-Vernon. So yeah, or Vernon, non-Vern. I had, I have my alter ego. That's I think there's someone talking. I talked to someone the other day that was saying, in the researching of quarks, these guys, these physicists, they speak another language, and they're saying that there's another duplicate of everything happening. Yeah, yeah. I'm saying, oh, God, I don't want to meet the other Vernon. That would be non-rev, I guess. I don't.
Yignu would be Wendy.
Yeah,
No,
right.
but I get that because I do have a sense of myself. Like if things had gone differently for me, I can see myself living in New York City, kicking off my heels, having a glass of wine. Meanwhile, I don't drink, I can't wear high heels, and I don't like living in New York City. But I do like have a vision of her.
Hmm.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, those are the things that are so weird about this existence, that we have these sort of parallels or parallel ideas, and they come. I think it's part of that out of the blue thing, this out of the blue phenomenon, which is basically trying to understand everything outside of us, because we are here in our body, and inside us is sort of where we live, obviously, but there's something outside of us that we're finding out. But we don't, I've learned more, the more I learn about it, the less I know. It's like I'm so powerless over it. If out of the blue has taught me anything, it's how powerless I am over things happening out of the blue. And they just happen, man.
I might have said this last time, I'm not sure, but I think about like how shitty things can be, like how there's war and destructive stuff. There could also be the miracle of good things too. Like, could things converge together to make something amazing? And I'm not sure I'm completely explaining myself,
No, you
but
makes
yeah,
that
okay,
resonates with me, this guy. I
okay.
resonate with that thought completely. That's
What
probably what,
about Vernon the Third?
yeah, Vernon, how do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, it is like strange and almost counterintuitive now to like think about that because we're so like everything that is, negative that's happening, especially like in the United States, is in like it's in the front of all the news. So we focus on it, but it's like that same that same like concept of like all these bad things coming together to create like a, a sort of negativity is the same for good things.
Right.
So it is like, yeah, it really depends on where we put our focus. But also, it's confusing because you got to acknowledge the things that are negative in order to pave the way for good things to happen. So but yeah,
I
it's
thought
good
of
to acknowledge.
I thought of another coincidence actually while you were talking. And that is, I was performing in Mexico earlier this year, not in like Spa, Cancun, resort town, Mexico. I was like in Mexico with cobblestone streets and horses walking around, things like that.
Mhm.
And I'm at a rally. It was when there was the No Kings rally in the States, and they couldn't call it that in Mexico. They had to call it something else. But anyway, there was like a group in the square, and it was mostly Americans, expats who came together to talk, about the fears for fascism. And I ran into a stand-up comedian that I know from Los Angeles. And this is like the most out of the way Mexico place. And I don't know why that struck me as so, it was so bizarre seeing my friend,
Yeah.
like one of the comedians that I love, and he was down there celebrating somebody's birthday, not performing, but it was a coincidence
That's
that
out of the
really
blue.
struck me.
That's
Yeah,
an out of the blue thing.
it was so bizarre.
Out of the Blue, the podcast. Hosted by me, Vernon West. Co-hosted by Vernon West III. Edited by Joe Gallo. Music and logo by Vernon West III. Have an out of the blue story of your own you'd like to share? Reach us at info@outoftheblue-thepodcast.org. Subscribe to Out of the Blue on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, and on our website, outoftheblue-thepodcast.org. You can also check us out on Patreon for exclusive content.